Alright, so the Eagles came out as one of the NFL's big winners after week 1, but that doesn't mean everything is perfect, as defensive tackle Jalen received some extreme hate and was ripped after the game as he revealed some horrible messages he got on social media that were pretty disgusting. Also, the Birds got a lot to clean up a week ahead of their next game, including their pass rush. Speaking of which, perhaps the Eagle that struggled the most in the opener was new edge rusher Bryce Huff, as he didn't do much of anything in his Eagles debut, so is this cause for concern? Meanwhile, Jalen also had his struggles in the opener, causing many to be very critical of his performance, but why is there good reason to believe that this criticism and these concerns are overblown? And also, a couple Eagles really shine in the first game, with one guy in particular having a historic day, so we're going to talk about that and all the other latest Eagles news starting right now. Hey guys, welcome to the Philly Fan 21 channel. If you're new, I'm Evan and I cover all things Philadelphia Eagles, and the first NFL Sunday is in the books, and it was a pretty relaxing day for Eagles fans, as with the Birds having already secured their win on Friday night against the Packers, they could just chill out and take it easy on Sunday watching all the games. Now, the main thing that all Eagles fans were surely paying attention to was whether the Cowboys were going to lose or not, but before their game even started, Dallas got some even bigger news as Dak Prescott finally reached an agreement with the Cowboys on a historic contract extension to keep him in Dallas for the next 4 years for a value of $240 million, which is an average of $60 million per year, which is just crazy, and Dak is now the highest paid player in NFL history. And for Eagles fans, I mean, this is a little bit funny, just because the whole reason the Cowboys even had to pay him this much in the first place is because they just waited so long to get this extension done, and they did the same exact thing with CeeDee Lamb, so it's pretty evident that the Cowboys are pretty bad at extending their players and getting them for good value. Meanwhile, the Eagles are masters at doing that. It's just a year and change after Jalen signed his contract extension, he's just the 9th highest paid QB in the NFL, and the contract's only going to continue to look better as time goes on. And overall, again, it was just definitely nice to see the Cowboys having to shell out this much money for Dak, but unfortunately, the Cowboys couldn't make it a perfect day as they crushed the Browns by a score of 33-17, and they look pretty solid while doing it, and the Browns look bad, so that definitely sucked. But what didn't suck was watching the Commanders get crushed by the Bucs in Jaden Daniels' debut, as Baker Mayfield lit up the weak Washington secondary for almost 300 yards and 4 passing touchdowns. And also, the Giants got destroyed by the Vikings with Sam Darnold at quarterback, while Daniel Jones threw 2 interceptions. And what was the funniest thing about this was that they lost 28-6, and they didn't even score a single touchdown. Meanwhile, as we know, former Giant Saquon Barkley scored 3 touchdowns in his Eagles debut, so it was certainly a hard weekend for Giants fans. And it was also a hard weekend for the Eagles' opponents in their next game in the Atlanta Falcons, as after coming into the season with really high expectations with the acquisition of Kirk Cousins and an offense with some intriguing young weapons along with some big moves that they made on defense, things didn't quite go according to plan in their season opener as they took a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers 18-10 in a game where Pittsburgh didn't even score a touchdown. But the Falcons just really couldn't get much going on offense, and Kirk Cousins did not look good as he threw 2 picks and ended with a passer rating of just 59. So while the Steelers defense is always really good, I'll say that, I definitely am not as high on the Falcons as I was before this game. The initial odds have come out and the Eagles are about 5.5-point home favorites, and I don't bet, but I will say that I was confident in the Eagles' chances to win this game before this happened, but now I'm even more confident. And despite a somewhat shaky performance from Jalen in week 1, I'm still confident as ever that he's going to have an awesome season. And I want to reiterate what I said in my last video, in that I really don't think Hurts was that bad. I mean, I feel like I've seen a lot of people, and even Eagles fans, saying that Jalen didn't look good and he was awful, but I just really don't quite see it that way. I mean, in my opinion, I thought Hurts was great for about 90% of that game, and he made some awesome throws, namely the touchdown to Saquon, and he also came up clutch on that last drive. Now, the 2 picks he threw were absolutely awful. I mean, that first one, I have no idea what he saw there to throw the ball, and the second was just a case of him throwing it too late, and it cost the team points in a crucial situation towards the end of the game, so obviously that cannot happen again, and he definitely needs to improve that. But again, the rest of the game, I thought he was awesome, and he clearly looked like a top NFL quarterback. And those mistakes he made, I have confidence will get better as the season goes on. Plus, as we've seen countless times before throughout his career, Jalen elevated his play at the most crucial time in the game on that final drive, as he came up clutch for this team and milked almost all the time off the clock to essentially seal the win. And wide receiver DeVonta Smith was a huge part of that, and I feel like Smitty hasn't really got as much love as some of the other guys in this game like Saquon Barkley and AJ Brown, but he was great in this game too, and he was a crucial part of why the Eagles won, as on that last drive in the clutch, Smitty had multiple huge huge catches for first downs that allowed the Eagles to get closer to the goal line and continue running the clock, and he also was fantastic after the catch, as a lot of the first downs he had were a result of him running after the catch. So again, he definitely deserves a ton of credit for helping the Birds come away with the win. And after the game, Smitty talked about his performance in the clutch as he said this.
Yeah, Coach Nick always talk about, when the game on the line, he trusts us to go out there and make the play. And I'm glad that they trust me to do it, and I went out there and did what they expected me to do.
The coaches are certainly right to trust him to make plays in those situations, and I just can't wait to watch him continue to do that all season long. And I really also am just so excited to watch the rookie Quinyon Mitchell throughout the entire season as well, as the first-round rookie really looked good in his NFL debut. I mean, he certainly didn't look like a rookie to me, as even though the Packers tested him, he held up pretty great all night, even getting 2 pass breakups, and also talking some trash in the process, which was just so awesome to see. And what's even better about this is that the other rookie cornerback, Cooper DeJean, literally ran into the end zone even though he wasn't even involved with this play at all, and he also talked trash alongside Q. So that was also great to see, and safe to say the Eagles got a couple dogs in this draft. Getting back to Q and his performance though, it's made even better when you realize that he was just one half of what was an awesome cornerback duo for the Eagles on Friday, as Mitchell only allowed 4 catches on 9 targets, and Jordan Love had just a 66.9 passer rating when targeting him, but the captain Darius Slay was also fantastic, as he was targeted just twice, which should tell you how good his coverage was all night, and he allowed just 15 yards. So safe to say that these two balled out, and it also does make you ask the question, why mess with this pairing at all even when Isaiah Rodgers does come back? I mean, it's a fair question, given how good Q looked on the outside in his first NFL start after preparing to be the team's starting nickel cornerback pretty much all summer. Now, Isaiah Rodgers was obviously supposed to be this team's starting outside cornerback in week 1, but a hand injury kept him sidelined in the Packers game, and again, with the way Quinyon looked in his opportunity on the outside, this now brings up an interesting dilemma. Do you move Mitchell back mainly to the slot when Rodgers comes back and then play him on the outside when there's no nickel corner on the field, or do you just keep Mitchell on the outside and not mess with things? This is definitely a hard one for me. Honestly, I'd love to just keep Q on the outside at least next week and see where things go, but I also love Isaiah Rodgers and think he can play at a high level, so what do you guys think? But now, moving on, while there are some questions at cornerback, there shouldn't be any more questions at linebacker, as the 2 guys who started on Friday night were phenomenal, and one of them actually broke an Eagles record. And don't worry, we're going to get into that and so much more in just a minute, but real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video and don't want to miss any other Eagles coverage or content coming throughout this entire season, then make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on notifications so you're notified instantly when one of these videos is uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us, because not only do I get more people consistently watching these videos, but you don't miss any other Eagles coverage or content just like this. So again, subscribe, turn on notifications, and also drop a like. Let's see if we can hit 800 likes on today's video. Now, with all that being said, let's get back into the video. So as I was saying, despite all the talk about the linebacker position being weak and the doubt surrounding the group the Eagles have, the 2 guys that started on Friday night really came to play, and in my opinion, secured their starting positions. Now, last week, one of the big stories, obviously just ahead of the game, was not only an injury to linebacker Devin White that prevented him from making the trip to Brazil with the team, but also the fact that he had already reportedly lost his starting job to Nakobe Dean before the injury even happened, which took many fans by surprise, including myself, just because White had been pretty much taking all the first team reps during training camp, while Dean was mainly with the second team. But after watching Nakobe play on Friday night, I completely understand why the coaches wanted him to start, as the best way I can describe this guy's play is like a heat-seeking missile. I mean, Dean was flying all over the place all night and shooting into the backfield to hit Packers ball carriers, and he made several big plays for the defense, including lighting up running back Emmanuel Wilson on a 3rd down. So I absolutely loved what I saw from Dean on Friday night and think he definitely deserves to keep his starting job. But I think I loved what I saw from Zack Baun even more, as he was probably the Birds' best defensive player on Friday, and he also had a historic night, as according to Shane Huff, his 15 tackles were the most tackles in a single game in Eagles franchise history, which is just insane when you think about how long the history of this franchise is and just all the great players that have been here. And Baun also had 2 sacks in this game, including the game ender, and he just played really smart but also aggressive football. So overall, it was just amazing seeing the performances these 2 linebackers had. I think they definitely have earned their keep as starters, and now I'm just super excited about them, and I hope they can keep it up throughout the season. But someone who I and all Eagles fans should be hoping can pick it up is edge rusher Bryce Huff, as Huff was silent and pretty hard to notice on Friday, as he really didn't do very much in his Eagles debut, recording just 1 combined tackle and not even a single pressure, which isn't very promising after an offseason where there was a ton of speculation about whether Huff was ready and could handle this bigger role playing the majority of snaps on defense. And again, this performance surely didn't quiet any of those doubts. And the fact of the matter is, Huff just needs to step up. I mean, I know it was just 1 game, but the reality reality is that the Eagles are going to be relying on Huff really, really heavily this year to produce. They just need him to be that monster pass rusher that they signed him to be. Now, he wasn't that on Friday, but that doesn't mean he can't have a good season. He just has to pick it up and bounce back this next game. So, can he do that? That remains to be seen. But yeah, again, after Huff's debut, I'm not exactly feeling great about where he's at, but I also don't want to overreact to just one game. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what he's able to do as time moves on, and whether he's ultimately able to live up to the high expectations placed on him or not. And also, to be fair to Huff, the whole D-line really had a disappointing day on Friday, as no one from that unit got home for a sack. However, I will say that I thought they played the run really well for the most part, and also generated some pressure at times, so I don't think it was certainly as bad as it seems, but they definitely do need to be better throughout the rest of the season for the Eagles to get where they want to go. So hopefully they're able to bounce back against the Falcons next week, as that game seems like it could be a crucial moment for that group. And one of the main guys in this group is obviously defensive tackle Jalen Carter, and I mention him right now because after the game, the second-year man was the recipient of some pretty horrible message from Packer and NFL fans, as of course Carter was the one who rolled up on Jordan Love at the end of the game, causing him to exit with an injury, and now he's going to be out around 3 to 6 weeks with an MCL sprain. And while it really does suck that Love got hurt on this play, it seemed to me like Carter is just trying to make a play and that's it, but some people saw it differently, as Carter has been called dirty since this incident, as he even received some awful messages on social media that include some wishes of injury on Carter, as well as racial slurs. No, I'm not going to read any of them, and you can see them here for yourself, but all I gotta say is, what are we doing here? Like, it's never that serious. I just do not understand and never will understand why people feel like they can just say whatever they want on the internet. I mean, I don't think they comprehend that they're still talking to a real person, and also, who are these people thinking, you know what, I'm so mad that I'm going to go on Instagram and send a threatening message to this NFL player who I don't know because I don't like what they did in a football game? It just makes no sense to me. It never will make any sense to me, and we just need to be better. But now, moving on from that, the Eagles obviously will take on the Falcons in the Link on Monday night in just 1 week from today, and I'm going to be covering all the news leading up to that and also from that, and of course, everything else from the entire regular season. So again, if you guys don't want to miss any of that, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, and also while you're at it, make sure you drop a like to show some support on this video if you did enjoy it. It really does help me out a ton. Let's see if we can hit 800 likes today, and also leave a comment down below just regarding anything else that I talked about in this video. And if you want to watch another Eagles video recapping the Eagles win over the Packers, you can check this out right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank y'all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.